tell you boys, if anybody's hiding Jesse Hunter, my money's on Sylvester Carey. That nigga, he hates us white folk.
Mm-hmm. He does.
You know he's got a piano? A nigga with a goddamn piano. I've been working all my life. I ain't got a piano.
You don't know how to play one?
That ain't the point. Old man Comer, up in that house of his, he got a piano. A nigga's got one, and I don't. Now how that look?
So what's up, y'all? This is another story time. Now this story time is going to be a little different because I might have a couple concepts that you can use or advice, so to say, for people that's getting into IT. My first book, of course, was much lighthearted. Just kind of showing you to get in the way. Didn't go too dark. The second book had a lot of concepts. I tried to mix in the journalism of Ida B. Wells with the analysis of racism, white supremacy of Cress Welsing with the codification of Neely Fuller in the book that would mimic medical apartheid by Miss Washington. That was my idea of trying to put all this information together from the Black experience based on tech, whether it be good or bad, in our favor or out of our favor. So when I wrote it, I had a lot of things to get off my mind and a lot of history, you know, to, like when people say, you know, employment. How do we get there? What's some things we can do? So there's a lot of concepts you might be able to take. I wrote it in a way where I figured you could take a piece and say, well, this works for me. All the rest don't. That's what I had envisioned for that book. Well, DP, I don't like that. I don't like you saying this. It makes me feel bad. Okay. Did anything work? Yeah, man, I used this piece. All right. You use that. So that's how I wrote it. That was the idea behind it. And the sister that did the editing from South Carolina, that good sister, I told her to don't hold no punches. But you have a journalism degree and you have a degree. She was familiar with that book, Medical Apartheid. So I said, I want it to look like this. You see what I'm saying? I kind of want it to be in a, like she used the term, anecdotes or whatever the case may be. Like she broke it down. Well, this chapter should fit here. And then this should go here and this should go here. So it's where it needs to be from a writer standpoint. Somebody, you know, like I could write, but I don't have a degree nor a training into how that format should look. So a lot of it was from personal experiences. And then I took a lot of historical things and I said, well, hey, well, look at this, you know? So, it wasn't just so much as tech, but, going back into this original story time, I called it Pep in Your Step. In 2008, right before I got my first actual corporate contract, when I was working at the nonprofit on 4th Avenue, staying on Minnehaha, that was around the time, at that time, I did have my Dodge Spirit. I did have my 93 or 94 Dodge Spirit that I had bought off for selling my PCs and stuff. So this was the time, this was getting into crunch time of that internship getting ready to leave. And I had that suit on. I had this suit on. Hold on, let me get it going. I'm going to present it. And I was feeling pretty good about myself. This is the same suit that the sister gave me. You see, this is the same suit that the sister hooked me up with. It's not letting me zoom in. I don't know why. There we go. I was looking good, damn it. I was looking good. I probably was in my, well, I don't know how old I was. I was in my 20s. Suit's a little too big. But I was looking, you know, the person that took this picture for me was this Cambodian cat that he had a shop right in my building. Everybody knows that building. Everybody knows there was a photo shop. He ended up getting into some trouble or whatever the case may be. But he took that picture for me because his people had owned, some Cambodians, they had owned a photo shop where they did, you know, the little photo shops, and it's mainly black folks to go up in there. So when you see the pictures, you see all these black folk, you know, taking pictures. So what ended up happening, that suit, they would let me on internship, they would let me go to interviews. Hey, they would just let me go to the interview. If I had an interview that day, they just let me go to the interview. You know, keep the hours, whatever the case may be. So, you know, they knew I was interviewing. They knew that the internship would be ending pretty soon. And so I was going on interviews and whatnot. And so I had an interview. I think I came to work with my suit on, and I had an interview that day. So when I came to work, that was the first time I really wore a suit. So, you know, folks was looking at me a little different. You know what I'm saying? They was looking at me like, damn, you know, so I ain't never seen him with a suit on. So, you know, everywhere I kind of went with that suit that day, you know, like even when I drove home and I got home and I think I might have went to Cub or something like that. Or, you know, I was going to the buffet where I kind of just kept the suit on, and then I changed when I got home, of course. But that suit, man, it attracted some good attention. You know, when I was in the line and, you know what I'm saying, buying stuff or whatever, where I'm telling you, I was, you know, the sisters is like, who are you? Let me get close to you, nigga. What are you up to? You know what I'm saying? That was the vibe that I was getting. I was getting a real good vibe. So the day that I was getting ready to go on the interview for, I think it was for Robert Half, there was a guy that worked at this nonprofit. Now, he didn't work for the nonprofit, but the nonprofit had a school. Okay? So I'll say, I'm gonna kind of be a little mindful on how I word this, because this place gave me my first shot. So this particular person that said this, which every time I seen this teacher, because it was, you know, the nonprofit was part of, you know, of a teaching school too. Everything was all gravy. So I thought, white liberals for you. Anyway, he felt the need that I was getting too uppity. He felt that I was getting too uppity. If you ever, I put that in my book too. The Rosewood mentality. I started thinking maybe he had the Rosewood mentality. Okay. So I'm walking off to get ready to go in my interview. I'm leaving the school. It's a sunny day. Matter of fact, well, I'll get into that another time. Anyway, it was a sunny day. Felt real good. I was happy. So this was 2000. This had to been this was 2008. It was absolutely 2008 sometime. And might have been August, July, probably August. Probably like, nah, not August, July, June, July, definitely June and July, not August, because I started that contract and so it was probably July. And I'm walking down the sidewalk, getting ready to go get my car. Hey, Derek, you might want to calm that down a little bit. You got a little too much pep in your step. Now, he sees me getting ready to go on my interview. He made it his business to go out of his way to let me know, don't get too uppity, Negro. Don't get too confident. Don't start thinking that you need to do a little more than what you already doing. That was the white supremacist mindset right there. And he had a little smirk on his face, and then he started to ask questions. Where you headed? Like he was kind of fake concerned. Like he was lightweight concerned. I'm going on an interview. And he said it again. You got a little pep in your step. I wanna turn that down a little bit. He didn't really want to elaborate. I said, pep in your step. I said, what do you mean? Oh, I'm just giving you a little bit. Liberal race soldier. The left wing of white supremacy. The left wing. The left wing. The BIPOC. George Floyd, and then turn around and not hire a nigga. Yeah, that kind. Yeah, that kind. Well, I'm gonna do a story time on that too, because you got a lot of those so-called Black Lives Matter, George Floyd types that undermine the hell out of you at work. They'll undermine the hell out of you at work. You don't just have the right wing so-called ones where they're like, oh, and you Black Lives Matter, Obama should have gave you reparations. You got those. That's the right wing. You got some of them that kind of think like that too. But this dude was the so-called friend of the Negroes type, and he made it his business. And I never forgot that, because it was such of a sly fox. It was just a real cunning. He said it with this real cunning grin. It really rubbed me the wrong way. He said it like he was joking. And they love a sick joke. But he said it like he was joking, but he was damn serious because he repeated it. But then when I asked him what he meant, so piece of advice. When you run into people in the dominant society that do stuff like that, get into the question mode. Seems to work out for me. They don't really want to elaborate what they meant because they can't legally say what they meant. They're 9 times out of 10, they're not going to tell you what they meant. They're not going to do that. You care to elaborate, sir? Because see, at this point, I thought we was cool. I would joke around. But see, a lot of times, what people like that will do, race soldiers, in that perspective, they may not necessarily call you the N-word. They may not want to see you hanging from a tree. But damn it, let me tell you something. They don't mean well. I don't care how nice they sound. They do not mean well. So what they'll do is what I call covert gaslighting. You understand? That's what they do. And it's happened to me enough because I was still young at that time. So I'm thinking of the concept of some, well, this redneck, he has to have a Klan sheet on. No. You see what I'm saying? It's subtle. It was very, very subtle, but that was my first experience to where I was kind of like, okay, you don't sound like who I think what you should look like. You see what I'm saying? But he wanted to let me know, hey, don't get too confident. Now, I wasn't strutting. it wasn't like I was strutting or something like that. I wasn't doing a strut dance. You remember when Malcolm X and them was doing the strut, where they had the what do they call those coats? They had the coats. Remember when it was Malcolm and Spike Lee, and they was just strutting down the street with I wasn't turning up like that. I'm just walking. But he might have seen a little bit more confidence that I had, and with that suit on was illuminating like, okay, he's ready. He's going for his interview. I wasn't paying attention to him. He was paying attention to me, because you got to keep in mind, when they see a black person that can make a dent, and they know that black person knows that they can make a dent.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You're just starting to get real credit.
They don't like that credit. They don't like that. He said, man, okay, he's not on his internship anymore. He's going to continue to go up. You see what I'm saying? He's going to go up. He might surpass me. Now, you would think, as being a teacher for these people of color, that you would be like, man, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, giving you the pound and all that old yo, jive turkey talk. You know what I'm saying? You would think that because you get some of them like that too. You get some of them, yeah, word of mother, hey, brother, and all this old wigger talk. You might get some of those too. You would think he would be doing that. Yeah, man, hip hop, Method Man, blackout. You would think that it would be like that. You around all these lowly Negroes all the time. He listens to a little hip hop. He listens to a little bit of UGK. He might listen to a little Jay-Z. You see what I'm saying? Nah. That all that went out the window. That went completely out the window once he said that to me. I said, okay, yeah, he ain't cool. So, just kind of telling y'all like that story time that happened to me. I wanted to put that into a story time before, but I thought that was a very interesting thing. So you're gonna get some people throughout your career where they make those little. Well, I'm not exactly sure now. I'm still learning these folks, but I've seen some. I'll say this: I've seen some things now, currently where I'm at, where I'm like, okay, I've seen this before, so I'm not really tripping. That time, I'm what they call bright-eyed, bushy-tail. At that point, I was still innocent. Not innocent like a child sense, but I was still kind of, I was a late bloomer with everything. So I'm still looking at the world as I'm doing what I need to do. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting up, I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm handling my business, and I'm doing it probably a little later than I should, but I'm kind of pure-hearted about it. Like, I didn't have any intentions ill towards anybody else. I was about getting me some paper and getting myself together. Well, you got to pull your bootstraps up. I pulled my damn bootstraps on my own. I had a little help. I ain't gonna say that, but I did this shit on my own. If we want to use that bootstrap theory BS, I did that. I did a lot of this on my own. You see what I'm saying? So, as long as I was able to get up and my health was good enough for me to get up and do what I need to do, I did it. You see what I'm saying? There wasn't a whole lot of corners that I could turn to. You see what I'm saying? And I was used to that, and I was fine with it. So I'm looking at the world as a place where, okay, I'm getting up, I'm doing what I need to do. I got this suit on. I'm pure-hearted. That was a pure day for me. I was completely pure-hearted. I had no malice in my heart towards, going on this interview. And it kind of threw my interview off a little bit. I'm sitting here thinking while I'm in the car, why did this white supremacist say that? And I had to sit back and think, Rosewood. Now, the average person might have thought I'm overthinking it. No, I didn't. I didn't think enough. But it never really dawned on me till I watched Rosewood again for the second or third time. And then I said, okay. Rosewood burned from people with that mentality. And he may not even offer me any violent. He may not even thought about me in a violent way. But that's the race soldier catalyst. Why Rosewood and Tulsa burn. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's a very simple logic. And that's why when I created my second book, a lot of the concepts were things you could physically do and learn, but they were phrased in counter-racist in what I would call counter-racist science. Because we're not operating from the standpoint like how I was operating. I'm coming in pure-hearted, like, okay, I'm going on this interview. Let me just go ahead and do my thing. But you got somebody letting you know, hey, the wolves are out. I'm trying to make sure you don't get too uppity, nigga, because you're a problem if you do. If you start making a way where you could put a dent into helping black folks and changing the status quo, you're a damn problem. So I'm gonna let you know, don't get too uppity. Now, thinking back, at this point, you ain't got to necessarily argue with him, but at that point, now knowing what I do know now, I would have told him, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. Oh, yeah. Now, he wouldn't have liked that. But I would have probably walked in, I might have interviewed a little better, but I was sitting there kind of thinking like, damn, this is kind of like, I don't know if it felt crushing, but it was disturbing, man, because this is somebody that's supposed to be that's who's in your classroom teaching the black kids. Now, when they get their A or when they get ready to go to your honors, he's telling the young black kids, don't get too uppity. AKA, you got a little bit too much pep in your step. So I took a mental note of that. And that's why another reason why I wrote the Rosewood chapter. Because I've seen it too many damn times in my career. And this doesn't have to be in IT. That's my point. Counter-racist logic. This doesn't have to be in IT. There's black folks right now that's listening to this right now that's like, yo, I seen that too. I thought I was tripping. Nah, he didn't call me the N-word. He didn't say uppity, but he said something in the terms of pep in your step. You doing too much. You see what I'm saying? And so stuff like that, when I started realizing, it happened again. When I was a Sixers administrator, got a new car. Whew. Got a new car. Man, this shit's real. Got a new car. Soon as I got a new car. You got a new car? Dude literally almost cracked his vertebrae to try to see where it was. You see what I'm saying? And then you find out after a while, you start having problems at the job sometimes. I'm not BSing. Y'all got to move accordingly. Don't tell these people, this is my piece of advice, don't tell these people nothing about your personal finances. Unless this person's like a brother-in-law, somebody that's been tried and true that ain't really gonna undermine you or something like that. Don't tell these folks about your personal oh man, I'm saving to buy a house. Don't you do that. Don't you tell them about you getting ready to buy a new car, whatever like that. I don't give a damn how cool you think they are. Do not tell these folks any intricate details about your life. Oh, what are you reading at home? Well, I'm reading John Henry Clark and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Dr. Umar. No. National Geographic. That's how you do that. Because even with things now, it's getting extremely competitive right now. I've warned black folks about this, preaching my gospel 7 to 8 years ago when I did my tech training. It's getting extremely competitive. And now that all this job situation and remote and the so-called layoffs and all this stuff going on, and they said, well, you know, Donald's in office and all hell's gonna break loose. Well, hell, if all hell's gonna break loose, the hell starts with us first, right? You don't really need people to know too many intricate details. They don't really need to know about your relationship. They don't really need to know. They don't need to know too much about nothing. It's not about being standoffish, but we've been through this story too many times. You start getting cool with these folks. Before you know it, you're at their house, you start drinking, you go on to the company party and whatever. That's the nice thing about the remote thing. The remote thing is you can't tell me too much about pepping your step because it's being recorded. That's the beauty of the remote thing. That shaved off a lot of undermining and subversion for black people. That's one good thing about the remote thing that I could say. It's hard to subvert me remotely because you have to do it and you're being recorded at all times. You can still do it, but it's a little harder because the corporate politics don't fall within the race soldiers' hands to be able to undermine you directly. See, they could do that and it could be not necessarily implied at work. They could do stuff while you're in the office and get away with it. But when you over at Microsoft Teams, they have to type in what they're saying, or sometimes it might be recorded. I think all HR conversations should be recorded. Anything about, you know, your performance or what you're doing or what you're not supposed to do. Matter of fact, I'm about to do a breakdown, and rest in peace, rest in power to Neely Fuller, man, and Cress Weldon. I'm going to do a breakdown of that 5th and 14th Amendment, because the 14th, as you know, was only supposed to be for us. Everybody else got a piece of it, so y'all are welcome. Y'all are effing welcome. Y'all are welcome because you benefit from it. Anyway, the 5th, due process, equal protection of the law. There was a brother dealing with the same thing that we all deal with, and he used that counter-racist logic, and it worked. And I tried it, and it worked. And so I threw that in the book. I told y'all about it when I was doing Six Weeks work downtown. I used that same stuff, and it worked. It's tried and true. It worked. Just by questions and answers and knowing what questions to ask and knowing you just don't know that this stuff is working in your favor because they're not going to tell you what they can't do. Due process. Oh, we let you go or we said you did something. You got to use it. We know the Constitution wasn't written for us. We know that. We know it was written against niggas. We know that. I know. Okay. And everybody knows. But, you know, you use it. You use what you can use. And I used it. You see what I'm saying? So when you get the pep in your step, Bob, that's going to be a new word I come up with tonight. Pep in your step, Bob. When you get a pep in your step, Bob, that's telling you're being a little too uppity, don't get too uppity. Hey, I'm just getting started. He can't say that you said something wrong. Because you're enjoying, you're bantering, right? We're joking, right? Oh, it was just a joke, Mr. Pearson. Oh, we're joking? I'm just getting started. He can't say you were being smart. He can't say this, that. Well, he told me, you know, if he tries to bring it there, you can say, well, he told me not to get too uppity. Oh, that's against DEI. That's against policy. He told you that? I said, pretty much. Under the people of color banner, I felt that he didn't step up. He didn't step up enough for diversity and inclusion. He used the terms pep in your step, and I took that as uppity. You see what I'm saying? If they want to play that game, we can play that game. We can play that game if you want to do that. But just keep it. I'm just getting started, sir. Throw a little sir after it. He's thinking you sassing him now. You sassing me now, boy. Yeah, just sass you a little bit, sir. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, words aren't, how you use words and the cadence and tone is important. You know, I could have said, well, you know, it's because he used it in a certain way. Don't get too much pep in your step. And kind of leaned his head just like on some, like his friendly banter or whatever like that. I knew what he was saying, and he said it again. Because he wanted me to know, and he's also seeing that's the nigga test. That's the nigga test too. Let's just see what kind of nigga he is. Does he just kind of go along with it? Because they won't stop there. They'll keep on doing stuff until you know. So, but when I asked him, I said, what do you mean? Just like that. Hey, what do you mean? Oh. When they do that, you got him. Oh, I didn't mean anything. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna enjoy my interview, man. I'll holler when I get back. He never said nothing like that again. Because I asked him, what did he mean? I knew what he mean. But he didn't want to have to explain. You're getting too uppity, you nigger. You see what I'm saying? He couldn't say that. He couldn't legally say that. He's not going to say that. He's going to say something covertly, covert Bob. So that's what you do. When you get somebody at your job talking about you got too much pep in your step and you getting too uppity, you ask him, hey, what do you mean by that, Bob? I just want to, I'm just messing with you. I ain't messing with you, Jerome. I don't mean nothing by it. You start tapping you on your shoulder and you just looking at this nigga like, nigga, don't touch me again. Yeah. Let's go have some coffee. Yeah. You get some dudes like that. They'll play it off. That's the right, that's the left wing. They do it all the time. They was pulling all that garbage when I told you when I was downtown where I used the due process. I'm trying to, let me see. What part of the book is it? Hold on. Let's go into the tech manifesto. Let's see here. What page is this? So we gotta get a good reference. Let's see here. Rosewood Mentality, page 120. You could reference that. I mean, damn, the whole first part of the book from 7 to 130, you could reference the whole damn thing. That's why I say, if somebody say, well, he's plebiscite babbling. Oh, he's divisive. Okay, well, throw the rest of the book away. Use those chapters. There's something you could use. So, damn, this book's big, man. I ain't gonna lie, y'all, man. I was not bullshitting when I made. Ain't no other shit out there. I'm gonna. Let me put some more pep in my step. There ain't no other tech book out there like that. I'm gonna talk my SXI. There ain't no other tech book out there like that. 3 years of quantifiable research, man. There's nothing out there like that. I was trying to be too damn humble. No. I was trying to be too damn humble, man. No, man, there ain't nothing out there. The first chapter, the first 100 and something pages applies to everything I was saying. I don't remember what chapter it was, man. It took me like 3 years to make it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that pep in your step, when you get a pep in your step thing, there's some things you could do. You don't have to be snotty about it. You don't have to you ain't got to raise your voice. You could simply just ask, what do you mean? Conversation's gonna end right there. It's gonna go into I was laughing, let's go get some coffee, or it's gonna be, oh, I was joking. One of those two. That's the first two things that they're gonna come up with. Let's go get some coffee, ha 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 ha, or it's gonna be joking. It's gonna be joking. That's the joking is probably gonna be the first thing that they're gonna, oh, I was just joking. I was just joking. That's what it's gonna be. You see what I'm saying? Or they might get a little more aggressive. And that's the third, that's probably not going to happen. That's probably not going to happen. So just giving y'all that story, that has sat with me a while. And I always remember that because I remember how I felt. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking like, well, damn, man, this is 2008. I said, this, because I didn't work in a corporate environment before. So I got a taste of it because at the nonprofit, I might have to do a part 2 to this, but real quick, the nonprofit was connected to a school and you had volunteers from the corporate environment. So they made it kind of corporate so the kids could kind of get an idea on what will work. How does it, how do you work with executives in corporate America? You see what I'm saying? How to deal with them and how they are and how they talk to them. So I had an idea of the demand when you're working, because these people were volunteering their time that were coming from these big Fortune 500 companies. You see what I'm saying? The dude that said that to me, compared to them, if we want to talk about the ladder and the hierarchy, he's a effing nobody. He's a ghetto ass teacher on Lake Street. You see what I'm saying? Compared to the executives that was volunteering. These folks is like, hey, Derek, where's my coffee? It's not effing warm enough. They didn't ask me for that, for no coffee or whatever. Like, oh, my computer don't work. I don't want to hear excuses. Just fix it. You see what I'm saying? That's how they talk. Men with money like that make a whole bunch of money, they don't want to hear about why it don't work. They don't want to hear about a bunch of terminology and all that stuff. Men with valuable time that make 500, 250, 3, 4, 500, a couple tickets a year, they don't want to hear about the details. Just fix the shit. That's their attitude. They don't have a lot of time for small talk. They don't have a lot of time for excuses. I'm just telling you how it was when I was running into them and things were getting done and why it doesn't work. My internet doesn't work. They don't want to hear about a whole bunch of this, that, and the third. They don't got time. They do not have time for that shit, y'all. Them folks want it working, and they don't want to know why it don't work. They don't want to know how you got it fixed all the time. They just want to know if it works so they can continue making that damn money. That's how a lot of corporate execs work. You see what I'm saying? So, that was my experience during that time. So I kind of went over this 36 minutes or whatever, but yeah, man. That's how you deal with pep in your step. When pep in your step, now I noticed another thing. I didn't really get a lot of pep in your step comments from upper echelon Bob. Executive Bob never hit me with the pep in your step thing. I noticed that. Executive Bob, the executives and the directors, they rarely hit me with the pep in your step. They rarely hit me with the, well, that nigga got a piano. I ain't got no piano. Well, you don't know how to play a piano. They didn't hit me with the piano talk. It was always trailer trash Bob and pep in your step Bob. It was always the white dude that might have been just here with me or just barely above. You see what I'm saying? That's the people that hit me with the pep in your step talk. I can't really think of too many. I'm trying to think of one executive Bob, one executive white guy that says, don't get too uppity. I don't recall it. It was always some mediocre, you know what I'm saying? It was always a mediocre dude. Mediocre or below average ass nigga. It was always one of those. I noticed that it wasn't nobody, man, that was say above, they say above your pay grade. It was nobody above my pay grade that was doing that kind of talk. For one, my contact with them was limited. I noticed something. I noticed when I started when I did get a chance to talk to executives and people of high level in the upper echelon pay range, they didn't have a lot of time to talk. They didn't. So I don't think they had enough, they're not invested. They're not invested in the role. They weren't invested to give me a Rosewood mentality, pep in your step talk. They didn't have time to think about, well, man, what's Derek going to do? And is he going to do? They're like, man, just fix my problem so I could go make another couple $1 million for this company. That's what I noticed. It was always some dusty trailer trash Bob that sits up in there and be playing the land party Bob. I noticed it was always somebody kind of like that. It was one of those kind of dudes most of the time that I ran into. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anyway, We got more story times coming up. We're gonna do the 2013 to 2014 story time at some point. I'm gonna see if I can get that up there tonight. I think we're on like number 3 or 4, The Adventures of DP. I think I'm gonna come up with I think I gotta come up with something new for this. The Adventures of DP. I gotta come up with like a comic book look or something like that. So, this was in 2008. So I'll get this uploaded, y'all. Thank you.
Good job in this film.
Thank you.
I want to know from your standpoint why this film is important to you.
Because it's historical, because it happened, because it's good. First of all, it's a good film. But because this is a part of our history that we kind of don't like to talk about. It's a lot easier for us to deal with the Holocaust, or for us to deal with something in Chechnya that happened, or in Burundi that's happening. But people don't usually like to deal with it when it's close to home, when it hits home, because these are descendants, But it did happen, and I think it's important to realize that, because hopefully it'll help us to open our eyes about the potential of hatred in this country.
Mm-hmm. Not so much that we've come a long way, because in some ways we haven't come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways we have.
Right.
But this film really hurts. I mean, I watched this film and God, boy, I appreciate it. I admire it. It's fabulously made and acted, and it hurts. And I think